Yo, how's it going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're pretty much going to be talking about the three huge fights that Dana White announced after UFC 300. The first fight that he mentioned was obviously Dustin Poirier versus Islam Makhachev. And the second fight is the fight that we mentioned a couple of days ago that had a high likelihood of being pretty much scheduled, and that is Paulo Costa versus Sean Strickland. And of course, the last fight that we're going to mention in this video is the highly anticipated fight between Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler. Before we go ahead and get into the discussion, you'll do as you're told. You'll go ahead and like this video. You'll go ahead and subscribe to the channel and potentially leave a comment. But let's go ahead and get right into the discussion. So back at UFC 299, Dustin Poirier did what seemed to be the impossible and knocked out Benoît Saint Denis after there was a lot of people out there that had already crossed him out before the fight even started, right? There was a lot of people saying that Dustin Poirier was supposed to lose that fight and Benoît Saint Denis was supposed to take his rank. Now, after that fight, we know that there was a lot of speculation because Dustin Poirier was calling out Islam Makhachev for that opportunity. And even Islam Makhachev's manager, Abdelaziz, was pretty much in agreement with Dustin Poirier, right? And so now we are here to the point where Dana White pretty much announced that that fight is in fact what we're going to get next. Now, in my opinion, I feel like this is going to be a great fight, man. Dustin Poirier 100% deserves to fight for the title next. No doubt about it. Let's not forget, right? I already mentioned it in this video, but a whole lot of people had Dustin Poirier crossed out, right? And he was able to defy all the odds, ladies and gentlemen. There was so many talks about Dustin Poirier being too old to compete against Benoît Saint Denis, right? He shut everybody up and he performed and he got the job done, right? And of course, you know, everybody already had a book schedule. All the top ranked guys were pretty much going to fight at UFC 300, right? Like Justin Gaethje and of course Charles Oliveira, who recently lost, right? Everybody already had a book schedule. So it only made sense for Dustin Poirier to fight Islam Makhachev next. And that's the fight that we are definitely going to be very, very excited to witness, in my personal opinion, right? And this is just my opinion. As much as I would love to see Dustin Poirier, you know, win that title, and this is just my heart telling me this. This is just my heart telling me this. I feel like Islam Makhachev most likely is going to remain champion. And I just think that his wrestling and grappling is just way too elite. I just feel like it's way too elite. His level in MMA in regards to his grappling and wrestling are just levels above anyone else. And he's probably going to prove that again against Dustin Poirier. Now, I do think that Dustin Poirier deserves the opportunity, but in my humble opinion, I feel like we're probably going to see Islam Makhachev remain champion in the lightweight division. So the next fight obviously is Paulo Costa versus Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland failed to get that rematch. He failed to get the rematch against Dricus du Plessis because there's a lot of rumors going on right now that Israel Adesanya is going to fight Dricus du Plessis for the title. For whatever freaking reason, you know, they decided to give Israel Adesanya the fight instead of getting that rematch between Dricus and Sean Strickland. Whatever. Look, I feel like this is a great fight for Sean Strickland. This is a great fight for Sean Strickland, right? Because in my opinion, I just don't see Paulo Costa beating Sean Strickland at all. I feel like Sean Strickland right now is the better fighter. He's the better striker. He's a smart guy, regardless of what people say. He's a smart dude in the octagon. He makes good enough decisions, right? He makes good enough decisions in the octagon to win. And look, there's fighters right now that Sean Strickland has beat that are, in my opinion, have a good chance of beating Paulo Costa. Names like Nazadir Imavov. Of course, he was supposed to lose against Abuf Magomedov. Let's not forget that there was a lot of people out there, including myself, that thought that Magomedov had enough to beat Sean Strickland, and Sean Strickland absolutely annihilated him. And of course, we saw what he was able to do against the champion Israel Adesanya. So yes, I do think that right now, currently, Sean Strickland has already beat fighters that can absolutely beat Paulo Costa without a doubt, in my opinion. But I do expect Sean Strickland to absolutely outclass Paulo Costa. I know there's going to be a lot of people that are going to disagree with me on that end, but in my opinion, I feel like that's exactly what we're going to see whenever that fight does come. And whenever Sean Strickland does beat Paulo Costa, he's going to go ahead and call out for the rematch 100%. Like I said at the time, we don't know if freaking Israel Adesanya and Dricus du Plessis already signed the dotted lines and that fight's already scheduled, even though we don't know about it. Maybe the UFC is holding on to that type of information whenever they want to release it. It's up to them. But I do feel like whenever Sean Strickland does beat Paulo Costa, he's going to go ahead and try to get another title fight right after. I mean, let's just do some freaking MMA math real quick. Israel Adesanya beats up freaking Paulo Costa. Sean Strickland beats up for 5 freaking rounds. Arguably one of the greatest middleweights of all time, Israel Adesanya. I mean, I don't know. You guys tell me. Who do you guys win? Who do you guys think wins this fight? Paulo Costa or Sean Strickland? I feel like the obvious freaking answer is Sean Strickland, but that's just my freaking opinion. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Now, last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, after months, right? And almost like a year and a half, the UFC finally announced Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler. I mean, at some point, Michael Chandler was even begging Conor McGregor to sign the dotted freaking line, right? And I remember like last year, right, leading up to UFC 300, everybody was talking about Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler was supposed to be the main event. Obviously, that's not what we got, but better late than never. And honestly, I'm very excited to see this match. Right now, Conor McGregor is rich. He is super stinking nasty, disgusting, filthy rich, right? He just made a freaking movie that went crazy, right? It's one of the most watched movies right now in Amazon. And that's absolutely freaking insane. Given the fact that Conor McGregor is in a freaking cheesy ass, corny 80s remake movie, right? But congrats to him, right? What I'm really interested to see is if Conor McGregor has a modicum of real fighter left in him, right? Because it's one thing for us to see his sparring footage, but it's another thing to actually see him compete in a fighting setting against another game fighter that is freaking Michael Chandler. I mean, obviously, yeah, when you really think about it, Conor McGregor doesn't ever need to lace up gloves again and fight for money. Like I said, he's super freaking rich. You guys have no freaking idea. This guy has a freaking Lamborghini boat, for crying out loud. But yeah, this fight's going to be taking place at 170, the heaviest we've ever seen Conor McGregor, and obviously the heaviest we've ever seen Michael Chandler currently while he's still in the UFC. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see what they bring to the table if they gas out, because they are going to be fighting in a freaking heavy state, right? So yeah, very excited to see this matchup. If I could give an early prediction for this fight, I personally think that because of the added weight and because I do feel like this fight is going to be taking place standing up. I mean, we really don't see Michael Chandler really challenging for takedowns, you know, this late in his career, right? Especially with the last couple fights we've seen him, you know, fighting. He's not a fighter that's looking for takedowns as much. So I really don't think that's going to be too much of a factor. I think that this fight's definitely going to be striking, and with the added weight, that gives Conor McGregor added power. And I do think that Conor McGregor is probably going to knock down Michael Chandler a couple times and ultimately beat him. But that's just my freaking opinion. You know, there's other things that haven't really been mentioned as of late, right? There was this new rumor about Conor McGregor apparently debuting a new weight class, right? We haven't heard about that lately, so maybe the UFC decided to scrap that, but that was a rumor for a time. But yeah, anything could happen in the world of MMA. Maybe that's still a thing. Maybe that's a surprise that we might get later on in the future. Who knows? But yeah, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. As always, it's a pleasure discussing MMA with each and every single one of you guys. Peace out and have a good one.